Welcome back to Ronnie's Revolutionary Reviews. Last week I said I would be covering 3 albums to balance out the show after those 3 movies I talked about, but it turns out I accidentally lied, and I'm instead going to talk about 3 more movies. Oops. 3 comedies to be specific. I'm really focusing on one of the comedies, and using the 2 others as examples. Starting with a great new film that came out fairly recently, Friendship, directed by Andrew DeYoung, starring Tim Robinson of I Think You Should Leave fame. He plays Craig, who must traverse the troubles of social gathering and friendship, as the title implies. He quickly befriends the town anchorman, played by Paul Rudd, before things start going off the rails in the form of this 2025 screwball comedy.
I don't wish to continue this friendship at the moment.
Friendship. Get tickets now.
I personally found that they executed this quite simple concept to a great height. The best thing is that the humor and writing clearly is from a place of knowledge and creativity. Each gag is a subversion on classic movie tropes, some very niche, where there'll be a scene that in most movies would be a stereotypical horror scene, drama scene, or even comedy scene, and it's somehow elevated to a hilarious and brilliant extent.
There's a new Marvel out that's supposed to be nuts.
The aesthetics of this movie were really well done. This movie looked incredible, and this goes to show that comedy movies can still have visual substance and impressive cinematography. The music was very unique and distinct, with many strange, tribal, cultish sounds in the score, as well as some synth grooves and punk jams. It really added to the strange, uneasy tone behind the laughs. This movie also actually had some interesting things to say. I didn't really get everything that this movie was putting down, but I could tell that the absurd comedy came from a real place and passion. I like the subtle hints that our main character is an unreliable narrator. Obviously the movie is very unrealistic and wacky, but with small things like Paul Rudd's character Austin saying he doesn't have a phone and then later saying he's always had a phone, showing that even in this world of absurdity, Tim Robinson's Craig is still the craziest person here.
I'm gonna beat the fucking shit out of you, motherfucker! Get the fuck off me!
Clearly a lot of the conflict is meant to represent deep-seated fears and insecurities, like fitting in with friends as an adult and controlling anxieties of your wife slipping out of your grasp. There's a lot of substance in this movie that make me excited to rewatch this whenever I do. It was also simply very funny, enjoyable, and visually and sonically stimulating, outside of the deeper messaging. I loved it, and I gave it an 8 out of 10.
I can see the future. It's full of pals. I'm on the edge of life, and the view is gorgeous.
Friendship.
Another great new comedy which just came out and that I saw in theaters is the latest Naked Gun reboot starring Liam Neeson as the titular detective. This one is less original than Friendship as it's based on an existing property, but with the little knowledge that I have on the series, I felt like justice was served in this release.
Playtime's over.
This movie really invigorated me, to be honest. Watching this and being able to cackle my ass off in a room full of other people doing the same was quite electrifying. There wasn't a dull moment, and each idea was spread out to its comedic limit. Some particularly good examples of that were the entire chili dog procedural scene, the Thanksgiving turkey scene, the snowman cutaway, and the hospital bed interrogation scene.
Oh yeah, chili dog.
I also really loved the moments where we would cut back and see all the other detectives doing the same cliché noir bits as Liam Neeson's Frank, the looking up at their dead detective father, monologuing about nice-looking women bits, etc. Just a very self-aware and perfectly crafted satire of police work.
Who's gonna arrest me? Other cops?
Is he serious?
No.
I also think this movie used every single puzzle piece it could to create the atmosphere in bed for the comedy to land. The music was really incredible. The heightened jazz noir score was perfect, and it's made me really get into that noir jazz genre, and I've been listening to a lot of playlists of it. It makes my life feel more cinematic. The lighting and visuals were perfectly done. Liam Neeson delivered one of the best comedic performances this year. Everything just felt perfect for what this movie needed to be. I loved it. A little side note, I also love how this movie ends. I feel like so many movies that I've been watching lately seem to drag on forever at the end. A very simple, bam it's over ending, followed by some optional end credit and mid credit bits, was just very refreshing. Now take this whole review with a grain of salt because I've only seen a tiny bit of this universe, but this movie makes me that much more excited to give the classics a watch, and I'm giving this an 8.5 out of 10.
The Naked God.
So that's how you succeed in the modern comedy landscape of this film industry. You can make something totally modern and intriguing and new, or you could pay homage to a classic if executed just perfectly. You know, it's another classic that's been plugged into the old Hollywood factory.
For 400 years, golf has been a gentleman's game. A game of tradition, etiquette, and above all, sportsmanship. Until now.
Adam Sandler is Happy Gilmore. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, February 16th.
That's right, this episode is really about Happy Gilmore 2, and why it should have stayed an old fond memory instead of making whatever kind of shit for breakfast this new sequel was. This is the latest return to the big screen of Adam Sandler's comedic golf career in the form of Happy Gilmore, who since defeating Shooter McGavin has become a lonely alcoholic, living with his 5 children and John Daly. The reason for his alcoholism is due to a tragic event where Happy accidentally killed his wife from a misaimed golf ball. Now that his daughter is old enough to have her own career dreams, he decides to hop back on the course to make enough money to pay for her ballet school. Unfortunately, he's up against a genetically modified group of douchebag golfers in a game called the Maxi League, who pose tough competition for Happy to win that prize money. Hopefully he'll make enough money off this golfing tournament to recover from the flop that was this movie.
One great Canadian club combo, extra jalapeno. Shooter likes it hot.
For just $1 more, you can make it a Happy Gilmore meal and get a collectible cup.
Gilmore with his own meal deal?
Adam Sandler is Happy Gilmore. Psycho. Rated PG-13. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
I'm starting off really harsh because I only just watched this movie a few days ago and I'm still salty. But don't get me wrong, this movie still got some stuff right. A lot wrong, but some right. I'll start with the pros. There were plenty of good bits in this movie. The John Daly bits cracked me up. He fit right in and excelled amongst a cast of great actors.
Hey, Uncle John Daly.
Hey, Vienna. Hey, Happy.
Hey, pal.
I'm almost out of here. I just put a down payment on a tent.
I really enjoyed Happy's aggressive children. They were pretty consistently funny and felt like a natural sequel progression. I like the Maxi League in general. Ben Safdie was quite funny as their leader, and his bad breath bit made me laugh. Shooter McGavin returns in this movie in a more heroic role, and he was pretty great in this. Christopher McDonald absolutely killed it with his comedic performance, even at 70 years old. He still has that insane manic energy. Needless to say, this movie does still have a lot good going for it.
I would fill a pillowcase with golf balls and beat the piss out of them! I would tear the jacket off!
Now for the cons. A lot of what made this movie unfunny and just plainly uncompelling was that it felt like they didn't care to properly set up their bits. So many jokes felt so contrived and distracting. The hand sanitizer bit didn't make any sense and started off very out of place and never got much funnier. The pulling the shirt over the head bit was much the same. The repeated misnaming of Haley Joel Osment's character felt very outdated and derivative of old bits that were honestly never that funny. Not particularly well executed here.
Oh, I think we're in your head, Brendan.
My name is Billy.
Hey, settle down, Barry.
There's also plenty of stuff that just wasn't funny regardless of how believable the setup was. The "that's what she said" joke was so painfully unfunny. Also all the jokes that boiled down to, hey, remember this from the first movie?
Remember Happy Gilmore?
It never stopped being jarring and annoying. Almost all the callbacks didn't work at all, and again lacked any real setup for why it's in this movie. And some of those strands were just never led anywhere and easily could have been cut out. There was no reason to have the caddy that Happy choked out in the first movie return in this one.
Still mad at you for choking me out, you son of a bitch.
That was my thoughts on the good and bad bits, the pros and cons of Happy Gilmore 2. I now want to talk about something that was a bit of both. The technical aspects of this movie were mostly good, I'd say. The visual effects and cinematography for every time a character would hit a big shot consistently looked really sick. Everything surrounding the filming of the golfing scenes impressed me a lot, and that's a big part of this movie, so I can't stress how much of that effort paid off. Now, there was also plenty of really bad CGI for some of the smaller gags, and some especially ugly and unnecessary de-aging effects. Really looked bad. And there was also a lot of noticeable ADR. Now I'm going to talk about another aspect that had some good and some bad, although I'd say it mostly leaned to the bad side. Cameos. There were loads of cameos and celebrity appearances in this movie. Bad Bunny was excellent in this. He delivered a great comedic performance, and honestly I find him to be a pretty good actor in general from what I've seen.
I understand you have a restaurant. We have the best Italian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Cuban restaurant in the town.
The wrestler guy who played one of Happy's sons also handed us an incredible performance. Kid Cudi was also really funny in his short role. There was plenty of news and podcast personalities in here too. The guys from Bad Friends were pretty good. Stephen A. Smith had one of my favorite gags in the whole movie, which made his very short cameo stick out.
The only possible conclusion is that Happy Gilmore has reached an agreement of some kind with Satan, aka the devil.
Sean Evans, though, felt awkward and a bit distracting, unfortunately. I love your show, Sean, but this wasn't it. Really, the two cameos that stunk up the movie the most, though, was Post Malone and Eminem. Post Malone did what he could with the terrible jokes they gave him, but man, was Eminem the worst. Really, really cringy and forced. I hated it. I don't know why they had to tie in Eminem's terrible cameo to Joe Flaherty's iconic role in the first movie, but they did.
Oh my dick! I just don't give a fuck!
You suck, you jackass.
Those are all my thoughts on each aspect of the movie, and honestly, even though I spent a lot of those thoughts complaining, I still enjoyed this movie in many ways. I was strongly considering a 6 or a high 5 for the first half of the movie. But as the plot really reared to a close, it just felt like they ran out of steam in a big way. Not only were they running out of new ideas and new jokes, but even the running gags that I praised in the first leg of this review were really getting old and sour by the end. The whole Maxi League tournament felt very rushed and not written well. It just felt like they gave up, and I honestly can't blame them. There was no need for this movie to be 2 hours when clearly the writers had a clean 90 minutes of mostly good jokes. I think the graveyard scene really explains my feelings about this movie. There's a big fight scene between Happy Gilmore when he first re-encounters Shooter McGavin, where they start brawling right next to the plot of Happy's dead wife. There's something so special about the childlike wonder to a creative comedic idea like making a whole epic fight scene in a cemetery.
You sure you want that? Come on.
It's a very fun and simple idea, and then they had to pad it out with some more jokes, so they resorted to filler garbage. They had a very confusing and unfunny rhyme joke, like the joke is that he's doing a lot of rhymes, like that's the funny of it.
That was round 1. We are done, son. You can tell everybody you won.
Should I put my hair in a bun, just for fun, and play one-on-one with Attila the Hun? That was good.
And then after failing at writing a new joke, they resorted to further degeneracy with some classic, hey, remember this humor.
Remember Happy Gilmore?
The nurse lady joke was pretty bad already, but the shit for breakfast callback just felt so soulless.
Now, why would I want to steal the life of somebody who eats pieces of shit for breakfast?
It really feels like half of this movie was written in a boardroom of sleep-deprived 40-year-olds, and I hope they recover. In conclusion, this movie has some good ideas, but a lot of bad ideas that should have been kept in the vault. That's the review. I'm giving Happy Gilmore 2 a 4 out of 10. Go watch The Naked Gun, it's still in theaters, and it's actually good.
The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad.
Everyone should have a friend like you.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, December 2nd at theaters everywhere.
That's it for today. See you next week, and before I let you listeners go, it's time for Ronnie's Joke of the Week. What would you call a friendship between Adam Sandler and the puppet from Goosebumps? Slappy Gilmore. See you next time on Ronnie's Rough Reviews.
Hey, Ronnie. Ronnie?
Good reviews?
Fabulous reviews.
This is Ronnie. Make it good.
Suppose Ronnie could have been a
Reviewer.
It's Ronnie, all right.
Ronnie?
Reviews.
Fabulous reviews.
And this is the best review we got.
There's a new Marvel out that's supposed to be nuts. We should go see that.
I also watched the new Marvel, and it was good. It's not super new, but I just got around to Thunderbolts about a month ago. Here's my thoughts. The new cast of characters was very fun to follow. There's an actual emotional core that was executed very strongly and contends with the misfit character work of Guardians of the Galaxy. The emotional payoff in certain scenes, like the father-daughter scene on the sidewalk, were genuinely a little moving. Of course not at all as charming as Guardians, but the closest we've got to it since. The jokes were mostly pretty funny. Of course some dumb quips, but Wyatt Russell was really hilarious the whole time. Still, the movie came with some issues. Some of the characters weren't as strong as others. I'm looking at Ghost Lady here. She barely had a character in this movie, which was a bit disappointing. Also, the movie didn't look great, very gray and muddy, and the actual colorful scenes just made you realize why the rest was so gray and muddy in the first place. Not the greatest movie, but very good. 7 out of 10. See you next time.